Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could I please have a vote to go into closed session for discussion and/or action regarding those items of business exempt from open meetings under general laws of Rhode Island, RIGL 42-46-5, A1, A2, A4, A8, A9?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't even know Karen was here. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could I please get a vote to seal the minutes of the executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no votes were taken in executive session. First, we're going to start off with the recognition of Catherine Hawthorne Kokak, the Warwick 2002 Teacher of the Year.
Dr. Kochek, congratulations.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
Your husband over there? Have your husband come on down.
And my son, can I have
Your son, you come on down. I just want to say a few words about Dr. Kochek. Awesome science teacher, well respected throughout the district. Very proud of your accomplishments, and we're blessed to have you here in Warwick. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
I'd also like to congratulate you. We're so proud of you and all your accomplishments, and it's well deserved. So,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the school committee, thank you very much for all your hard work and your fantastic job that you do for our kids every day.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Kochek, thank you for everything you add to our school community. You're amazing, and we're thankful to have you.
Madam Chair, if I just may, Mrs. Kochek, I want to personally thank you from the Testa family. I texted my wife and daughters when I saw this on the agenda, so they're very, very happy. Georgia and Abby are over the moon for you, so thank you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize my microphone wasn't on. So this public comment is for items that are on the agenda.
Hello.
Good evening.
Darlene Netco, about to start year 35 in the classroom as an English teacher. President of the Warwick Teachers Union, homeowner, taxpayer, lifelong resident of Warwick, graduate of Warwick Public Schools, etc. I know how much some of you enjoy the list, so. First, I want to congratulate Catherine Howard Kochak, for all of her accomplishments and for her recognition here. And just to remind everyone that we have 900 amazing teachers here in Warwick that go to the classroom every day, persevere under very challenging circumstances, both with the physical plant and with the educational policies, and living under COVID for the last 2 years, teaching remotely, hybrid, et cetera. It's been, we're all very hopeful that this year starts off quote unquote normally. And we're back, without having to worry about all the COVID stuff. Secondly, I looked at the construction pictures. Our school department has done, and all of the people involved in the construction have done an amazing job this summer trying to do all of those jobs, plus get the schools cleaned and ready for the fall. All of our schools, except for the high schools, are being improved under previous bond issues, and just a reminder to everyone that we need to get the bond that is on the ballot in November passed so we can have 2 new high schools, because the high schools are not involved in any of these projects, and they are in dire need of replacement. And then finally, I want to comment about all of the curriculum materials for you to approve tonight. I think the fact that there are so many and so varied and among the various disciplines speaks to the fact that this district is concerned about achievement and is concerned about making sure that our students have the best quality materials and curricula possible in order to succeed. A word about wit and wisdom. I know a number of elementary teachers are concerned that they might not have enough time for PD, or that there won't be enough PD planned for them to learn wit and wisdom, because remember, they're also laboring under having to complete letters for the Right to Read Act. Good news for the upper elementary grades would be that we have a different program for them, which is still challenging and time-consuming, but not as time-consuming as letters. And one final comment, I see Agile Minds on the list again. I know a number of secondary math people who are no fans of Agile Minds. So at the earliest possible convenience, I think they would be happy if you were to replace Agile Minds. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, we'll move right along then. Can I have the approval of minutes of public sessions for July 12th, 2002 and August 3rd, 2022?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve. Can I have a motion for approval of warrants for August 16th, 2022?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And can I have a motion for approval of transfers from August 16th, 2022?
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we move on to the announcements and personnel as presented. Mrs. Ruggieri.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the school committee. I do have a lengthy list tonight, so I will be as brief as I can, but I want to celebrate the people that we have here. So I'll start with those that need a vote. So I have some retirements. Brenda Spaziano, the guidance counselor with 26 years of service. Jean McGarry, a physical education teacher with 35 years of service. And Nancy McLaughlin, a physical education teacher with 26 in Warwick, 3 years outside, so a total of 29 years of service. So I'd like to thank them all for their service and wish them well. So I just need a vote for that, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for all your service to all of them.
I have 2 resignations that also require a vote. Louis Paganetti, a BIT TA, and Melinda Silva Nerone, a special educator and an IASC grade 4 and 5 at Cedar Hill.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the final announcement requiring a vote is a layoff of 5 teacher assistants as presented in executive session. We hope to get them back as soon as we can.
Sorry.
That's okay. We hope to get them back as soon as we can. We're hoping they'll stay on as part of a sub-pool, and we're going to work with them to try and get them back.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Thank you. And finally, I have the
Nathan?
Thank you. And finally, I have some appointments. I'd like to welcome Brad Martin, an Assistant Principal of Climate and Culture at Tollgate High School, and Christy Patton, Assistant Principal of Climate and Culture at Veterans Middle School. I do believe they're both here this evening. They'd like to stand. Welcome. And we have many teachers to welcome as well. I'm not sure if anyone is here in the crowd, so if you are, stand up and give a wave. Caitlin Medeiros, elementary teacher, grade 5 at Sherman. Kendra Sylvia, elementary teacher, grade 5 at Greenwood. Jennifer Payne, elementary teacher, grade 5 at Greenwood. Emmeline Concordia, kindergarten teacher at Scott. Christine Simino, kindergarten teacher at Oakland Beach. Karen Fonts, guidance counselor at Pilgrim. Do we have anybody with us tonight?
Anyone?
No? Well, we welcome them anyhow.
We welcome all of you.
And finally, we have 2 other positions, middle management positions, a confidential secretary to the HR director. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Silvestri, and confidential secretary to the assistant superintendent, director of secondary. We'd like to welcome Sarah Smith. Thank you.
All set?
That's it.
So next we move on to our adoption of policies. The first with Dr. Cecil. The first one is JRCBD, administrating medical marijuana to qualified students on district property. It's our first reading.
Yes, thank you. That is our first reading. This is a policy that's been mandated by the state for all districts to have. This is basically a boilerplate policy that was given to us to use, and the committee went through it, and we are presenting it for approval as a first read. Pretty straightforward. Talks about the protocols that will be used in bringing any marijuana. Has to be in pill form, or it cannot be in any form that is smoked or vaped. Has to be administered through a pill or a chewy, something along those lines. And the process for bringing it into the building, process for administering, and pretty much the process for having that on campus. So requesting approval for the first read.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Chair, just a comment. Dr. Cecil, I'm not that old, but I feel like I've gone through the looking glass, because here we are, we're discussing dispensing of medical marijuana in schools. It's bizarre to me. I get it, and we have to have it, but this is a strange new world. Thank you.
I agree.
Madam Chair?
Absolutely.
Yes, Mr. Cornell?
Yeah, so with Mr. Tessa, I also found it strange, so I spoke with superintendent to try to get some more background. So, this is probably going to be, it'll be very rare for people to use this. This is a reflection of a new state law, so this is just in accordance with a new state law, because there are some people who have extreme illnesses who are in so much pain they might need this, but it's very unlikely for students to do this. So this is not going to be okay, there's marijuana free in the schools. That's definitely not the situation. So this is just going to be a very rare situation, just according to a law, and we probably wouldn't even be approving this policy if it wasn't for that law. So this is just a reflection of a new state law. So just want to clarify.
All in favor? The next one is JFCA, student dress code, second reading.
Yes, so this is the second read of the dress code policy, which updated language to be more in line with 21st century and being a little bit more specific about what students can wear and should not wear in the building, and what, in the event that someone comes dressed inappropriately, how staff will address that. So requesting approval for this second read, and we can put this into effect beginning with this school year.
Move approval. Second.
All in favor? Aye. And the next one is JLDBA, suicide prevention, second reading.
Yes, this is a second read with some minor amendments. When we went through, we had some comments after the first read. And so we, at our last policy committee meeting, reviewed those comments and took some of those comments and incorporated them. So on page 2 of 8, we added the words under the school-based mental health professional as a definition means an employee of the school duly designated or appointed to address issues surrounding the mental health of students and concerns surrounding suicide ideations or attempts by students. And then we added, i.e., school psychologist and/or school social worker. So it's just to clarify the position. And then on page 4 of 8, at the bottom, under suicide intervention, Roman numeral 2, small Roman numeral 4, under number 2, with permission of the parent, the school-based mental health professional shall contact Kids Link RI at the phone number. And then we added some additional places that they could contact: Thrive, Hasbro, and/or a child's previously secured mental health provider. That same language was added with when a student is in immediate danger and crisis as well. And I believe those were the only modifications. So requesting approval for a second read with these minor modifications.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cecil. On to new business, discussion and presentation, photo update of construction projects. Mr. Gothberg. Oh, okay. Thank you.
We'll do it now, okay? We're gonna, the photo show is gonna start with women, but something has happened in women that has caused an issue. As we have moved forward with construction and it got above the ceiling, we have found multiple areas within the building that have fire protection code issues. After speaking with the fire marshal and doing some engineering, we could not open the school without correcting these code issues. So what we've done is have the engineering done. I've gone back to the building committee chair, vice chair, and the superintendent and gotten a $162,000 change order to correct these problems. They must be done before school starts. And the problem with it is it goes back through areas that have already been completed and cleaned and delays the project. More importantly, it causes Mr. Oliver and his team not to be able to complete their cleaning on time because they have to go back and re-clean, and it delays cleaning in areas where we have to move forward. So I've requested that we delay opening at Windman until September 6th, the day after Labor Day. So we can take separate questions on that if you'd like.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Testa.
Thank you. And Mr. Gottberg, I'm going to get into details here. And the issues were parts of the sprinkler system, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but parts of the sprinkler system were connected to the potable water lines. correct?
Yes, they were fed
Right.
from domestic water systems without backflow prevention, which is now against code. 50 years ago, I don't know what the code was. I was alive, obviously. However, I did not know what the code was. It is fed off of that. It was not, because the feeding systems were insulated, everything, I think everybody assumed that was off the bigger fire protection system. So we don't know when it was done, we don't know why it was done or how it was done, but we cannot reopen the school without being corrected.
Right, so whether it was to code in 1970 or was just a hack job, the bottom line is we have to deal with it and we have to pay for it.
Correct.
Right, so that $162,000 could have been used elsewhere on other things, right? So we don't have a choice. It's just, I have to tell you, when you mention it to me, it frosts me a little bit, because if it was a shortcut taken 40 years ago or 50 years ago, I would like to have a conversation with whoever knew it and let it go. But if the rest of the building isn't connected to the same line and just a small part of it is,
But
I was
it's 15 separate locations, and I don't know why it was done. I can't explain it. And anybody who did this 70 years ago is not around. 50 years ago is not around, to be my guess. So I think we take it on the chin, we move forward, we get the school open as quick as we can. What I would like to say is that Kevin and his crew has done yeoman's work, still working there tonight. Allbrook Construction, Delta Mechanical, Ruggieri Flooring, Pisquazzi Demolition and Abatement, all the subcontractors, amazing job. We've done 6 months worth of work in 7 weeks. And this is just throwing a wrench into it. We would have opened on time, but this needs to be done, and we have to move forward with it.
thank you, Mr. Gothberg.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Cornell, please.
Yeah, so Mr. Gothberg, yeah, I know this must be incredibly frustrating for you, because like this is not your fault. Like, you just found this, and this is from a previous administration this all took place. So I know your team is working hard to try to get this done. I know it's not easy. You're probably working overtime for this, so I thank you for all the hard work you're putting into.
Yeah.
So for clarification, school at Wynn will be starting September 6th?
September 6th, correct.
So that means, so the students just will be still on vacation until that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And good luck, because I know it's not going to be easy.
Thank you. Superintendent?
I just wanted to clarify that it's just women.
It is just women, that's correct.
And on the 6th, grades 6, 7, and 8 will all be coming the same day. Usually grade 6 comes the first
Right.
day alone, but all 3 grades will be coming on the 6th.
Right, and Principal Haywood will be messaging everyone shortly, I believe, if he is not already.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Adams.
just in terms of further clarification, just 2 points. There's going to be an email communication sent after the meeting, or tomorrow morning, correct?
I believe it was sent at 7 o'clock, is that correct, Principal Haywood? Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, good.
So everybody was informed at the same time, that was the intent.
Good. Then my second question, I don't know who would answer this, but does that mean that the students of Windman, their calendar is pushed back a day, or is there?
3 days, I believe, correct.
Or 3 days? Okay.
They gain 3 on this side, lose it on the other end.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a little show of, be a quick slideshow of what's going on with construction. If you'd like to come down, I'll make it as quick as possible. Okay, in the first slide, excuse me, we have pictures of hallway at A3. On the left is you have the main corridor. As the move started, when we originally moved, Mr. Oliver and his crew, and Astro Movers started moving everything out. On the right, you can see demolition has been done. You can see the lights hanging. That plastic is covering one of the new cassette heating and cooling units that are all installed. You can see some condensate piping, electrical work done, and the flooring going in. That's the new flooring going down in the corridor, as the asbestos has been removed from everywhere we could get to within the building. So this is the main corridor again on I-3. You can see the new flooring in, the new pattern. This is the standard that has been chosen to go on through the district. And if you look way down the end on the left, you can see the cleaning crews starting to come through the building. This is classroom A304. This is really what is going on in the building. You can see all the brand new ductwork. We removed the not very movable partitions that were in the building and put in new ding-resistant drywall. And those are the studs on the left, and there is, I believe, 122,000 pounds of steel ductwork that has been put in this building in 7 weeks. So as we move forward, the roof, we have one more, I believe. All right, so this is the cafeteria. So on the left, the demolition has been done. Asbestos flooring has been removed. They started the ductwork. You could see it moving in. In the middle, the ductwork has been installed. The ceiling grid has gone in, and new flooring has gone in. On the right, you can see the ceiling grid in, the new flooring in, and the ceiling tile has started to go in. As of right now, the ceiling tile is in, flooring is done. Mr. Oliver's crew has started to wax that room. We are moving through the building. So as we talk about the other projects, asbestos is done. Roof should be completed by 8/24. Flooring replacement completed now with the new schedule, 8/27. ADA work completed by 8/25. And I want everybody to understand that Women is a 2-year continuing project. When students come back, there will still be ceiling tiles out in the corridor. There will be work going on second shift, but as they come through the building, that will all start to come together. Classrooms, ceilings will be back in place, no distraction, so we'll be ready for the students. So they're going to be wrapping up control work starting September 6th, so there will be some people coming through the building during the day just to set the controls to make sure things work properly. And that should be done by the 3rd week of September, and heating and cooling will be running at that point. Doors will be installed during vacations. The window systems will start arriving in November. We will pick isolated areas to replace windows during vacations, weather permitting, Christmas vacation, February vacation, April vacation, and the remaining would be installed summer next year. The generator, electrical gear, and some of the other rooftop units will come in because of COVID supply chain issues and be installed and completed next summer. So by the end of next summer, everything will be complete. Move on to Sherman quickly. Sherman, you can see that it is gutted. Everything has been removed from the walls, the floors. Abatement is done. Ductwork has started to come in. Steel is starting to go in. We have also started the site work project. That is going on. Windows will be arriving in November, and we still plan to be ready to go in February if so desired. Greenwood Elementary, abatement, not really much to show on abatement, but the abatement project is complete. We've hit everything that we could find. The tunnel is done, the attic is done, anything in the above the ceiling in the library and the reading room is removed. So on this, we also have a site project on the left-hand picture. That is where we removed the very uneven asphalt sidewalk. The middle picture is we paid a little extra to put new curbing in the front. So if you look, they started prepping for the curbing, did the excavation, the saw cutting, and the picture on the right is the new curbing installed. We have not installed the asphalt yet because in the next slide you'll see the handicap ramp that is going in, and we have to drive across the areas where the new asphalt sidewalks are going in, so we're going to delay that until this is completed. As of today, actually the ramp floors, the walls have already been poured and the floors started going in today. Steps and the remaining ramp will be poured tomorrow or Friday. And this will be ready for school opening on the 31st. At Scott, this is a big site project, complete repaving of the whole parking lot and most of the road coming up from 117. The picture you see on the left is when asphalt was removed. On the right is the sidewalks and parking areas, and this is just the binder course. Since this picture was taken last week, the finished course is down. It's ready, everything is finished. All we need is line painting, so it is ready for school to open. Park Elementary, we blew up the front parking lot almost literally. The blue structures you see are new drainage structures, retainage. Those of you who know Park, there was a pond every time we had a big rain there. So this will take care of it. Anything that runs off the roof, anything that goes into the parking lot will come into this, and it acts like a big septic system and drains out underneath the parking lot. So this will be paved. Worst case, by Friday, everything will be ready to go for school to open. The only problem on this one was when we got right where the middle picture, we found an old septic tank, metal septic tank that had to be removed. So we found that, got that out last week, and moved ahead with the project. This is the new roof at Warwick Early Learning Center. We're going with the white TPO. So this is, you can see that they're putting it on the slant roof and on the back side of the front section of the building. The middle is the canopy over the front entrance. The cylindrical items on the right-hand picture on the left-hand side is the ductwork for the HVAC units. They're removed, sealed, and they're going back on as we speak. Metal edge will be completed, I believe, by 8/26. And only thing we're waiting for are scuppers, downspouts, and they will start painting this week. Everything should be completed by the start of school. Cedar Hill, once again, white TPO. These are progress pictures. The left is what it looks like when it's completed. The right is under construction. So the old membrane was removed. Everything is completed except, again, for scuppers and downspouts. And painting, once again, fascia, boards, and soffits will be painted, and we'll have nice new scuppers and downspouts. And once again, this should be completed by the 26th, with painting going right up to the to the beginning of school. And that is it. I'll stand here and wait for questions. Never been clapped for being late before, so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goldberg. I do have one question, and it could be stupid. But at Park, where you say the water goes all underneath, that's not gonna cause a sinkhole in like a million
No,
years, is it?
those are structural, they're actually
Those
called
blue
structures,
things
yeah.
that goes through that?
If you notice, they're ribbed, all right, and that rib takes the weight, so they're rated to take whatever is
Okay,
going to be on
that was just
top
my
of it.
question, I was curious.
No, they're just not little flimsy plastic things.
Thank you. Any questions on the presentation? No. Mr. Cornell?
Yeah, I'm just curious, this is just for purposes of curiosity. When you're excavating around the schools, do you ever find any interesting objects or artifacts? Well,
Just old septic tanks.
that's pretty boring.
No, Madam Chair, I want to, like I do every month, I just want to thank you and your teams, because you're the person who makes the trains run on time with this, and sometimes you got to give everybody a kick in the pants. But the contractors at Windman have done extraordinarily good work. And I think it's a testament to your leadership, it's a testament to them too. So I think Warwick's a Warwick-based company, so, you know, that's.
Yeah, the contractors, whether it be, again, Allboard, Delta Mechanical, who has gone above and beyond, the abatement demolition company, Pasquazzi, remarkable. I can't, even the testing company, ECM, who does a lot of our testing and sampling, they came in nights, weekends, and I'm talking Sundays, coming in, doing the testing, and then driving samples, air samples, up to Woburn, so that we could get immediate results, so that we wouldn't wait 3 days for results. So, I mean, you go through everybody, Ruggieri again, I can't tell you, RNC and Lombardo, sheet metal. These guys worked hard, still working hard, pressing to get it done. They know the schedule, done a remarkable job. I can't speak highly enough.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gothberg, for your hard work. Next, the discussion update on the right to read. Dr. Schultz.
Good evening. I saw that Superintendent Danbrook wanted to say something. Do you?
Madam Chair, I just would like to also thank
I'm sorry.
Mr. Gothberg and Mr. Oliver. They're working 7 days a week, a good 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I know they feel that they have to monitor it. They're holding weekly meetings and tours with the administrative team to show us the progress. And there's great communication, and you've been doing an outstanding job, so I thank both of you.
And Mr. Gothberg always has a smile on his face, so thank you. That positivity.
You just don't know what the smile means.
Speaking of positivity, everyone, I wanted to talk to you just very briefly about the Right to Read Act. This is a mandated act that I've discussed before, that the state has mandated, saying that pretty much every single teacher in the district needs to go through either proficiency training or awareness training regarding the science of reading and structured literacy. And after going through the training, it's quite intense, but you learn a lot about how the brain latches onto letter sounds and how children learn, and there's this whole reading rope. It's an amazing process, and I think that everyone can really benefit from learning about it. Keeping that in mind, we're fortunate because the state has made a couple changes to the act, and that's what I wanted to bring to the table tonight. They have extended the deadline of completion for all teachers to the 2025-26 school year. They've also made it so that any teacher who has a master's degree in reading or is a reading specialist with a certificate, they don't have to take any training anymore. Some of them have already started. We started training about 200 teachers last year through the letters training, which is a very intense training, like Darlene said. And this year, we're going to be starting everyone else who needs to be trained in the proficiency training, which is about 175 teachers, are going to be going through the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals training called Reading Reimagined, which after going to the informational sessions and learning about it, it's a great opportunity for our teachers. And so we're going to have 3 PD days set aside for this. The state has also approved that to make some magic happen and let us do things like this that are important and mandated. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. There will be more information going out to all of the teachers about this. And I just wanted to make one quick comment, just what Darlene had mentioned about wit and wisdom. I don't want teachers to be nervous. We have purchased coaching sessions through Wit and Wisdom, and Dr. Cecil is going to be bringing to the table an additional massive amount of grant-funded PD that we're going to be bringing into the school, so the teachers don't have to take PD on PD days. It's going to be embedded into the school day. So I hope that that makes them feel better. So that's about it for just the quick update for the Right to Read Act. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is discussion action of the 22-23 Warwick School District Calendar. Mr. Ambrook.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, you have before you a revised calendar for the 22-23 school year. We added 2 holidays. We added the Eid al-Fitr, and that is on the 21st of April. And we've also added Juneteenth, which is obviously June 19th. Also, as Dr. Schultz has mentioned, that the Rhode Island Department of Ed has granted us permission to hold 3 PD days. So this is going to support the Right to Read Act and give our teachers opportunities and time to do the training. These days do not have to be made up at the end of the year, and the teachers do not have to do training and also, check in with students and give assignments. So I'm asking to accept the revision of the 2 new holidays and the 3 professional development days, which are February 7th, March 14th, and May 10th.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second?
Second.
Any questions?
Yeah, well, it's more of a comment to the superintendent. I was a proponent of always starting after Labor Day, getting rid of February vacation and all that, but the fact that the state rolled the calendar out without Juneteenth and without Eid on it, shame on them, I think. But I think at this late stage, we can't dramatically change a calendar. I don't think, some people I've seen say, well, cut this February vacation short. It's too late to do that. The time for that discussion would have been when we first debated a calendar. So I do sympathize adding 2 more days to the end of the year. But I just don't see how you can intelligently change this calendar. You can't start any earlier. We've already got the Windman situation. Eliminating vacations now, I don't think is a wise course to take. So in a sense, plus we got primary day and election day this year. That's 2 more days. So, I think we're between a rock and a hard place on this one. It stinks, but I think it is what it is.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next is discussion action on the Warwick School Committee 2022 monthly schedule. I think everybody reviewed it, and if you saw, we have 2 of our meetings are the 2 days that we have the primary and then our election. So I'm asking my colleagues here, do you want to do it Monday, September 12th? We have open houses, so it's a little difficult. Would that work for everybody?
Madam Chair,
If we do it afterwards, it's all open houses at schools.
Yeah, the 12th wouldn't work for me at all. I'm out of town the 12th. But if it works for 4, then, have a meeting.
Okay. Mr. Ambrook? He can't do the 12th, so when do the open houses actually start?
The
The 14th?
Yeah, I just think it's important that we all attend the open houses to speak to our families about the importance of building the two new high schools. So
I
we
agree.
give presentations.
I don't disagree. You want to do it later?
Can we have it the following Tuesday? Just have it on the 20th?
There's 2 open houses there.
There is.
Why don't we just do it that Monday, the 19th? There's nothing going on, right?
Monday the 19th
Want to
is
do the
open.
Monday, the 19th?
That's
Does
okay
that
with
work
me.
for everyone?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so we will amend this list to Monday, the 19th. The next one is the November. Do we want to do it on Wednesday, the 9th, or Tuesday, the 15th?
I can, the 9th works for me.
Does the 9th work for everyone?
I think so. Yeah. That's November?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Okay, we'll do it on the 9th then. So we'll amend it to November 9th. Excellent. Do we vote on this? Yeah, okay. Can we have a motion to approve the amended 2022 monthly meeting schedule of the school committee?
So-
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, now we're at number 5, discussion action, the classified employee disciplinary. Mrs. Ruggieri and Ms. DeAmbrook.
Good evening again. We come before you seeking your vote on the recommended action presented in executive session.
I would like to make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendations as modified in executive session.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next, discussion action on assistant principal of, school building committee vice chair approval. Mr. Testa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I come before you tonight. As you know, Mr. Ferrucci, our former finance director, was also vice chair of the building committee. He has tendered his resignation because of his commitments at the Bristol Warren School District. So to fill that seat, the building committee unanimously approved Bill Facenti. He's the municipal representative on the building committee. I wholeheartedly endorsed him. Mr. Facenti comes prepared every single meeting. He's read every document, asks very good questions. I think he's a very good addition. So what we need now is just school committee approval, and then we'll forward this to the Department of Ed, so we'll be in compliance with all of their requirements. So I move approval on the acceptance of Bill Facenti as vice chair of the school building committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Okay, moving on, discussion action, assistant principal of climate and culture contract, Mrs. Ruggieri.
Okay, me again. I come before you with the 4 contracts of people that I announced as being appointed by the superintendent, so I'll go through them one by one for a vote. First, assistant principal of climate and culture at Veterans Middle School.
Move approval?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Assistant principal of climate and culture of Tollgate High School.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Confidential secretary to the Human Resources Director.
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, the confidential secretary to the Assistant Superintendent and Director of Secondary Education.
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. To number 11, discussion action, request for coordinator of school and district safety security. Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Good evening, members of the school committee. We're here before you this evening with a request to add a position entitled Coordinator of School and District Safety and Security. In the packet's a proposed job description. With the amount of focus these days on safety and security, with the amount of resources that you all have and we all have put into school safety and security, we feel like this is a necessary next step to have a qualified individual oversee and monitor those areas. As far as funding, in working with Dr. Cecil, year one is written into a grant. And again, working with Dr. Cecil, we've also applied for the SVPP COPS grant, which would extend funding for 2 additional years after that. So if awarded that, it is going to be funded not through the local funds. We would respectfully request your approval so that we can go ahead and post that position as soon as possible. Thank you.
Do we have a discussion?
Second.
Any
Madam Chair-
discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. Dr. Taylor, thank you. I don't quarrel with what this is. I'll be honest, we have to be very leery of adding central admin positions because we just have to be very cognizant of that. So my question about the funding, so right now the first year is ESSER funded, but we've applied for a grant. So my concern is if we don't get the grant, we haven't budgeted for this. And that's my problem. So I don't know if we can, I don't know what the time frame is to find out if we're awarded the grant, if that's a month away, 2 months away.
We will hear on the grant, on the SVVP grant, October, November timeframe, but it is right now budgeted in ESSER. So it is grant funded for at minimum 1 year. And if we are awarded the grant, it's budgeted for 3 years.
Right, so, and again, I don't want to be contrary, but I'm concerned about the financial impact. Should the grant not come through, now, you could have the position for a year, and then if the grant funding doesn't come through, we're going to be right back here again saying, what do we do? And so, that concerns me, because then I think it looks a little silly. So, again, I'm not against this per se. I just would like to be more confident that the funding's secured for it. If it's secured for 3 years, that gives us a 3-year time frame to see, okay, what does the position do? I don't know, are there any other things that we currently contract for that we wouldn't anymore because we'd have a person in-house to do that? So I don't know off the top of my head. There may not be.
Yeah, I would say there's not, but I would say that with the increase in technology, with the increase in the state and federal government's mandates around safety and security, including detailed plans, looking at the support for administrators and their planning around their school safety and the support of teachers and students each day, I would probably be before you if it even wasn't grant funded for that type of an addition to the district. There's a lot of, and from the job description, there's just a lot of detail about each of those areas is an area we need some significant attention.
Yep.
In addition, Mr. Testa, that salary or even part of that salary would be an allowable cost, let's say under Title 4A for safe and healthy students, or with the professional development that would be done with that position, Title 2. So, which are recurring sources of funds that are grants. So it's feasible, it just all depends how we as a district decide to use those funds and what to use them for. It is something that could be a recurring source of funding for that position, or at least partially pay for that position.
Okay, I understand all that. I get it, and that's good, actually. So I guess what I'd like to know, I need to know a little bit more about the finances to this. So if it could be funded through Title II and Title IV, that's fine. Could you give us a hypothetical, not here tonight. So, is there a problem if we table this until next month's meeting? Because I would just like to know if the worst case scenario happens and we're going to fund this out of Title II and Title IV, what's the hit on the operating budget? Right? Because, we cut the supply line to 0, and I look at Mr. Oliver, and if he needs 2x4s, we're going to scramble to get 2x4s. So for me, I'm speaking for myself only, so if I know that approximately, we don't even know what the salary range is going to be for this yet, so, and I don't think this is a low salary range position, so if the salary is X, but we can supplement it with Title II and IV, right, to an acceptable amount, and then this nut here is doable, I don't have a problem. But, and if the SVPP grant comes, well, then that kind of makes the decision pretty easy. So if we just delay a month, I don't think it kills this, and I don't want anyone to assume that I'm killing this. I just want to make sure that we're making the right financial decision, because again, we haven't budgeted for it. So, you know, that's my bigger concern, is what's the impact on the budget, not to negate the importance of the position and the responsibilities of it, because I think they're legitimate. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that can we table this until September?
Well,
Pending.
there's a motion on the table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm sorry.
I think we need I have some discussion about it.
Okay.
I understand exactly where you're coming from as far as the funding of it goes. This is definitely something that we need to jump on board very quickly with, in my opinion. And I would like to see that happen, and it's pretty secured that we're getting that grant.
I would not say that it's secure we're getting that grant. It's a competitive national grant, so I would not
So
wanna
we're
say
still
that.
very iffy on that.
We're still very iffy on that, but it's
But we
already
can use ESSER
budgeted
funds for the
in
first
ESSER.
year.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there anywhere we can use ESSER funds to cover it for 2 years?
It's a discussion I would need to have with Mr. McGrath.
Mr. McGrath?
Yeah, there would be the possibility, but we'd have to look at the ESSER. We're looking at that now, the full ESSER budget, to see where it landed and what available funds are still there. But if it was 1 year, we could use the second, but we'd be giving up things that were already approved in the ESSER budget, so.
So we have the money for definitely the first year.
Correct.
Madam Chair? So, but we could still, we could give the person a 1-year contract, like, and therefore we will be secure. We know the first year they would be paid, and if we can't get any more money, then we just will have to cut the position. But if we give them a 1-year contract, then it'll be completely grant funded, because I wouldn't support this if this wasn't grant funded. So I would only support this if it's grant funded. But I agree with Ms. Cobden, like with these things, like sometimes you just have to jump on it. But also Mr. Test brings up some excellent points, like we need to make sure these positions are funded, and is disconcerting that the second, third years are not funded. But however, we could just give the person a 1-year contract. We can write that in the contract, and therefore we'll not be in the position like that we will have to compensate them for the second, third years. So is that possible, to give them a 1-year contract?
Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Yes, please.
Yes, Ms. Bacchus?
You know, we need a lot of positions in a lot of places. We recently received a letter signed by many faculty from vets about getting another principal because of climate and culture, because there is so much to be done, and it's very needed. And we need social workers, and we need lots of positions. And I'm hearing something about TAs being laid off. And these all create concerns when we're looking at creating new positions that no one even discussed before. I don't know if the ESSER monies or grants or anything can be used by other disciplines, but perhaps we need to look at that a little bit more strongly. Thank you.
Mr. McGrath, I don't disagree with Ms. Bacchus that we need a lot of other positions being filled. I don't disagree with that. But those positions aren't something we can use ESSER funds for, is it?
Depending on the position, it's recommended that you don't use reoccurring expenses in ESSER, seeing as it's a limited 3-year window. But short-term student support can be used for that. So it kind of depends on what positions we'd be discussing.
Okay. But this would cover it because it's a safety?
Yeah, I believe Dr. Cecil can comment on that a little more.
We've written it in because of safety issues, that there's a need for it, particularly during COVID as well, to be able to ensure that students are safe, parents are safe in the buildings while we have different protocols in place. And so that's how we've written it into that particular grant. But as Dr. Taylor noted, when the schools did their audits this spring, there is so much work to be done in every building to make every building safe or safer, that having a person to coordinate it, having a person to provide professional development, having a person to coordinate with the SROs, and Dr. Taylor could also speak to all the other jobs that this person, tasks this person would be completing. I mean, it was a huge list of things that this person would be doing, all in the name of working to improve climate and culture in the buildings and school safety. It's more than putting cameras in. It's so much more than adding cameras to the
Right.
buildings.
Exactly.
That only does so much.
And, we do have incredible camera security now, but there's more to it, and I do agree with that. And Dr. Taylor, could you kind of explain some of the actual functions that this gentleman's going to have, not just in our schools, but with our community?
Absolutely. And just to piggyback Dr. Cecil's comments, I think the conversations around this became very eye-opening with two different scenarios, two different causes. One is, as everybody most likely knows, we have to annually submit a district-wide safety plan annually to the state of Rhode Island. Additionally, every school with their own safety team needs to submit a school-based safety team, and the coordination of that, both at the district level and for the individual schools, having served as a principal myself, is a very large lift and requires a lot of coordination amongst various agencies locally and at the state level. So that was the first eye-opening piece as we started to work on those safety plans back in early this past school year. The second eye-opening experience was, and you'll recall that when the governor came out and explained that all districts had to do walkthroughs of every facility, and he gave us approximately a week or so in which to do that, I took it upon myself to jump in and lead all of the safety walkthroughs for the district, and was joined with Mr. Oliver, Mr. Gothberg, as well as all the principals joined us who were available, as well as custodians. And the eye-opening piece to safety is that safety, in addition to being work, and much work needs to be done around active threat response, active shooter response, actual safety of the faculty and staff and students, all of which are our number one priority all the time, is also the physical safety around the building. And those safety walks, after they address a few check boxes around what we think of first in our minds as the worst kind of safety issues in schools, the other 90% of the form are other types of safety that needs to be coordinated around the building. Somebody that coordinates the interdepartments of our own district, whether it's facilities, building and grounds, capital improvements, technology, and it's that coordination. And so the attention that's been put on safety in schools, whether it was recent events in the country or whether it's our own safety checklist that we had to do for compliance with the state, it is a huge lift that needs to be done. And it's safety. When we talk about safety, I fear that it's not something we should put off until next year to talk about safety or next month to talk about safety. It's I've always, as an educator, if you've asked me through my 20 years of my number one priority, it's been safety. And I think all my colleagues and all educators would say safety as number one priority. And this is a major step in knowing what we know about the need that we have as a district around safety and very many details around that safety. I think that's why I'm before you this evening requesting what we're requesting.
And just to piggyback very quickly, we have had a person, actually, the district has been paying and contracting with a person, actually a retired principal, to act as a safety coordinator for many years, Frank Ritchie, who has come and led the drills, reviewed the plans, but he's not trained or up to date in the training that the person, whoever we hire, would need. And this, we're now looking at more of a full-time position to do this work than having him come in for so many hours for so much time during the year. But we actually have had a person do part of this work for years.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Testa?
Thank you. I don't disagree with anything anyone said. Not a word. My bigger concern is I'm unsure of how we're going to pay for it. So, you know, the way the proposal is written, the first year could be ESSER, but if we get the SVPP grant, we reimburse ESSER, which is good because we don't want to spend ESSER on people. We want to spend it on, recurring. You don't want to spend it on recurring expenses. So, all I'm asking is, I know we're here in August, and if we hear on that grant October, November, I need to be more sure of where the funding is going to come from. I'm not anti-security by any stretch, but I just need to know how we're going to pay for it, because if the first year's ESSER and that's all we can, if we post it today and the first year's ESSER, we can guarantee this person 1 year, right? So, and I believe if I'm a candidate and I'm applying for a job and I'm sitting across from you, tell me it's a 1 year job, could be 3, it may color my decision making. So, versus if I'm sitting across from you and say it's a 3-year gig, okay, that's different. Because, I envision the ideal applicant here is probably a retired police officer, someone retired from law enforcement. So I'm just not sure on how we would, if we need the position, we need it a longer term. I just want to be more comfortable on how we're going to pay for it, that's all. And if we can wait until October, November, and we get a definitive answer on the SVPP grant, and it's a yes, then it's fine. If we don't, I think we've backed ourselves into a bit of a financial corner. And again, I know, we all know what we didn't put in the budget this year. So, if this was before us this year, like during budget season, it could have been, we would have constructed a budget around it. So that's my only concern. Again, I'm not against it at all. I'm not anti-safety by any stretch, but, and I understand the need and the importance for it, but I'm just concerned at how, from a budgetary standpoint, we're going to make this work right now. And I'm not a fan of, ESSER we should be plowing as much ESSER, if not all ESSER, into student achievement stuff. And we could argue that everything that a school department does is somehow related to student achievement. So that's all. I'm just, tonight I'm not comfortable saying yes. That's all. But I'm telling you, I'm willing to say yes. I'm just not willing to say yes tonight. I just need a little bit more information. But there's 5 of us, so, that's why we do the vote. That's what makes it fun. Thank you.
Anyone else? I mean, I don't disagree that, it would be nice to be able to throw a 3-year contract at somebody, but I think anybody who knows me right now is, I don't like to give out 3-year contracts to new people in the first place. I would be happy with the 1 year and hopefully be able to renew it, because I want to know the person that we hire, A, really wants to do it, and B, does a really good job doing it, because it is a very important position within the school department in my eyes. So, I mean, I would be happy with throwing out a 1-year contract at this point, because I think this is something that we could start working on and getting it implemented immediately for this year and not for, next year. I know that the community, there's been a huge outcry about security, and this, this role would be someone who would be also educating the parents of the children so they know what's going on. I know there has been some concerns with, their kids being traumatized by doing these types of drills, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's something that we need to get moving on right away, in my opinion. And I think a one-year contract is perfect for a new position. As Dr. Cecil mentioned, that we had this other gentleman doing this, it was more of a contractual thing, and it wasn't an everyday thing, and it wasn't really doing the job that the kids in this district deserves or needs, in my opinion.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Adams.
Oh, yeah, I moved and it was seconded. So two questions. One, I guess, towards you. If it were to be a one-year contract, would it, like, it would have to be paid through ESSER if the SVPP doesn't go through, right? And in the one-year contract scenario? Okay.
Correct.
So now, my second question goes to you, Dr. Taylor, I guess, or whoever would post it. In the job description, is it going to be laid out, the situation for it? Because as Mr. Testa said, like, if you're going into a job, you want to know, like, if it's a one-year thing or if it's going to be 3 years or whatever it may be.
Whenever we post jobs that are grant-funded, it specifically, and Mrs. Ruggieri can back me up on this, we always state that it's grant-funded. So that automatically means that the grant has to be renewed in order for the job to be renewed.
Mr. Cornell?
Madam Chair? Also, by the time the contract comes before us for approval, like, I think at that time we'll know the situation, like, whether we can fund the second and third years. Do you think that would be a situation? Do you think by the time, like, if we hire somebody and then the contract comes before school committee, do you think we'd know that information at that time?
I would imagine that for timeline purposes, we would be before you for the approval of the contract at our next meeting. And per Dr. Cecil's information, it could be the month after or 2 months after that timeline that we would hear official word on the funding. And I think just to, put an asterisk next to my initial presentation, and I don't know if I was clear in my presentation, is that I really, knowing all that we know and the needs that we have, would be before you if there was no grant funding. If there was, this is such a crucial lift for our district, and I can't underscore that anymore, that we would be here before you. And really this grant funding, especially the SVPP, that's Dr. Cecil, that's myself, being as fiscally responsible as we always try to be in finding other ways to pay for the things that we need. And so I would just want to, be clear that even if SVPP came back as a no-go, it doesn't mean that the position was any less important to have in this district.
Okay, and did you say it was like October, November you expect to get that information?
The timeline is October, November, and last year it actually went into December. They tell us October, November timeframe, but it could be a little bit later. We're just at the mercy of the Department of Justice that gives out these grants.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Adams.
My only other question would be, the SVPP we don't get it. What's the plan next year? Like, do you just go out for it again, or is it like we don't have a coordinator next year? What would the plan be?
So yeah, absolutely, Mr. Adams. So we'll always hunt down any grant opportunities we possibly can have to continue to pay for things that other agencies or federal funding can pay for our district. So if we were not successful, we'll certainly pound the pavement again, and not just that grant, any other grant that pops up. Dr. Cecil does a phenomenal job of applying for it. But with grant or no grant, there's a lot of holes that need to be fixed when it comes to the safety and security of our district. I just want everybody to be aware of that.
Right, no, I understand. So then my following question would be, like, I know we had a plan to divvy up ESSER funding. If it falls through, do we have enough to fund this position?
Yeah, it's already budgeted in ESSER. So the money is there for at least 1 year in ESSER. As I stated before, the position if we don't get SVPP, we can fund at least partially, if not fully, between Title II and 4A, pay for it in years following, which is guaranteed funding sources of federal grants every year, because it would fall under the acceptable use of those funds.
Right.
And ideally, what we would want to do is to set aside some general fund money to pay for part of it, and then fund part of it with federal funds.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd also like to voice my support for this position. I feel like our threat assessment teams need a lot of work in each school. Our school safety plans could be more robust. This person would be out in the schools all the time. He'd have an office, obviously, or she would have an office, but they'd be out in the schools, checking the safety of the schools, checking doors, checking windows, training teachers. So I really feel like it's a strong need.
Well, there's a motion on the table right now to table this.
No, the motion was to accept. It was motioned and seconded to accept it, so I think we just need to call a vote, that's all. Yeah, I'm not making an amendment.
So everybody's, you're saying you're fine voting on this?
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept? Okay, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm a begrudging nay, but not because I don't believe in it, just, for a reason I've already stated. Thank you.
Nay. Okay. Next item is discussion update FY 2023 monthly financial report and year-end review with the requisitions approved from $500 to $4,999. Mr. McGrath.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. Before you, you'll find my monthly fiscal report, including a FY22 projection of where we're going to land. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Mr. Testa?
How did you know? Thank you, Mr. McGrath. So it looks like, at least on the surface, that we're going to end the year okay.
Yes, so at that point, it's a projection. We have one more payroll to post, and then we usually wait through September to make sure any more invoices are coming in. But yeah, I think we're on the positive side, using the ESSER funds for what they were budgeted for. We should be all set.
And on a separate note, I want to thank you for what you've done so far. You kind of walked into it right at the beginning of budget season, and I know your office is short-staffed, and you've been doing all this on your own. So it doesn't go unnoticed. I just wanted to let you know, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. McGrath. Next item is discussion action, contract award, Career and Tech Center, 14-passenger activity bus. Is that you?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, before you is an item that you saw last fiscal year that you had approved. Since that time, as a result of delays in manufacturing and shipping, the item could not be received in a timely manner. The PO had been closed, and a new requisition has been presented to you. We're requesting your approval for this item. It's grant funded. It's something that is needed. It's for work-based learning, so the students can go out to the different job sites within the community. I ask your approval.
Move approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, discussion action, contract award technology, additional Promethean boards. Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So what we have before you on this item is the next phase of our continued yearly phase of Promethean board additions to the district. You've approved and supported the phases up to this point, and what this specifically is, just so that, you know, it's outlined in the memo, but 93 additional Promethean boards. This gives us our next phase for elementary Promethean boards, 1 per elementary school, to be placed in various learning spaces in the elementary school that are not your traditional classrooms, but other valuable learning spaces for our valuable teachers that teach in those areas. And the other 80 Promethean boards is to begin our phased replacement of secondary Promethean boards. As I'm sure everybody knows, those Promethean boards in secondary were installed 6 years ago, many of which are approaching, some of which are already approached, but all of which are approaching the end of their useful life. There's currently about 350 Promethean boards in the secondary schools, and as you all know me by now, I like a phase plan approach to begin to replace those items, so I'm never before you asking for 350 new Promethean boards because they all died. So it's really just being proactive. All of this is grant funded through ESSER, where we have placed our Promethean boards always traditionally since ESSER came out. So I would ask your approval so that we can get in the Promethean board line and start getting those boards in.
Move approval.
Second.
Second, I have one question.
Yes,
Dr.
Mr.
Taylor,
Tesler.
did we, the ones that are secondary, did we put all those in at the same time?
I believe we did. That was before me back into this role, but it was right during the consolidation of secondary schools. I believe that's when the brunt of all the Promethean boards went into, at that time, the 2 high schools and the 2 middle schools. We did replace the Chrome boxes. We refer to those as the brains of the Promethean board last year. So this is the board's no brains.
So do we keep some in reserve just in case?
Absolutely.
Right.
We are at that point where just today, as a real life example, in the movement of the Promethean boards back to Windman, 1 has died when they installed it over the weekend. So now we have a classroom without a Promethean board. So this is just to get ahead of this and to make sure that we can keep all the teachers and students up and running with these Promethean boards, absolutely. And any Promethean boards we replace at the secondary level that still have some usefulness to it, we can use those with the understanding that when their usefulness does die, we can use those in other areas in elementary school as well for the time being, so nothing's wasted.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Well,
Yep, Ms. Bacchus?
when we replaced we put those Promethean boards in, if my memory serves me correctly, over two periods, over 2 years. I don't think that we were ever told that they would only last 6 years. Is there technology out there that is better, that will last longer, that will do an even better job than that?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, we're always assessing new technologies. Promethean is really what this district's most used to. The educators are most used to Promethean. But as far as the usefulness, a lot of it, as with any type of display, hinges a lot on the hours of usage, right? So you have some classrooms that really put the miles on the Promethean board, and that's good, right? That's why we want them. And so I'm not surprised that some of those would go. So it's not an exact, it depends on when they come to the end of life for the usefulness. But we are noticing last year and this year quite the increase in secondary boards failing.
Anyone else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Okay, number 15, discussion action, contract award maintenance, HVAC filters. Mr. Oliver.
Good evening. I'm requesting your approval on this contract. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is discussion action on contract award maintenance, mobile storage.
Once again, I'm requesting your approval on this contract. I just wanted to note that I'm going to reduce the number of storage units that we presently rent to save some more, get some more savings out of my budget.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, number 17, discussion action, bid award for athletic supplies and equipment. Mr. Ricks.
Good evening, Madam Chair, committee members. I stand before you with a request to, the next 4 items are basic yearly items that I come to you before you to have approved. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on any of them.
Move approval on supplies and equipment, bid number 220037.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could you discuss a little bit about the toilet rentals? Are we going to be using another company since they're not doing a good job?
Well, I didn't want to say that they weren't doing a good job. They just didn't have the availability of the porta potties that we wanted at our facilities. So we were able to piggyback the current bid that the city of Warwick uses. They honored the same bid, so we got a really good price to use that particular vendor for this upcoming fiscal year.
Have they come and picked up the ones and cleaned up the broken ones and yada, yada, yada? Because I get a lot of complaints on that.
I think we're going to be in good shape this year.
Okay, thank you. I actually went ahead of myself on that. The next one is the extension of athletic training bid.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks, we need to thank Nest. We know we cut their budget. We know we did that. And they're still providing that service. So, I mean, it's a reflection on them. It's a testament to them. So we appreciate everything they're doing, even though we had to do what we did. So,
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're on to the toilet rentals. Do I
move
have a
approval.
motion approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the RIIL official fees for Tollgate and Pilgrim.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks, I do have one question.
Sure.
Why is there a difference between Pilgrim and Tollgate?
I figured that was going to be the question because I asked the same thing. For whatever reason, this particular fiscal year, Tollgate had more home games and they had a carryover from the year before. Now, what happens if we have used too many officials the year before and it goes beyond what we've paid? Say it could be $800. They will carry that over into the next fiscal year onto that school. So it was a combination.
Yeah, and even before any of the prior balances, plus or minus, it was just more for Tollgate this year than Pilgrim, about $4,000 difference. So
I was equally surprised, though, too.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's already passed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
Okay, thank you very
Ricks.
much.
Appreciate your hard work. I know you're trying to do the best to save money. Okay, number 21, discussion action, contract award, special services, unique learning systems. Mr. Campolino.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. I come before you with a budgeted item for the unique learning systems. It's a program we use with our alternately assessed students to allow them to access the Common Core curriculum. Happy to answer any questions.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is also you, the contract award for special services for Pearson clinical assessments.
So this item is testing materials for our psychologists. These items are used to help us determine student needs.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then you also have the co-teaching training.
Yes, last but not least, this is another budgeted item. It was in our American Recovery Plan grant. This item is for co-teaching training, and it was for training of elementary administrators in the area of co-teaching.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you
you.
very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Copeland. Okay, number 24, discussion actions, change order and curriculum, Wilson Language Training. Dr. Schultz.
Good evening, everybody. Before you is just a change order. It was a different amount than we originally had thought, but this is fully grant funded thanks to Dr. Cecil. And yes, and so we were able to train a large amount of teachers this past summer in foundations, which helps support the science of reading. It's a wonderful program, and so the materials came in a little higher than we thought, but we have the grant funds to pay for it, so I just wanted your approval on that.
Excellent.
Approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And you have the next one, Seesaw District License.
Yes, so this is a budgeted expense for Seesaw, very useful app that a lot of teachers really enjoy, where they can post things for distance learning or just everyday use. They could contact parents through it, and it's very, very useful. We have heavy usage here in the district, so I just wanted your approval on that as well.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And then you have Discovery Education Social Studies tech books.
Yes, so these tech books, we're phasing out the idea of having textbooks in the classrooms, specifically for social studies, because they can really get outdated very quickly. And so we're moving in the direction of this tech book. We've used it for years. It's very popular. We've expanded it into the upper grades in elementary school. They offer wonderful professional development sessions around diversity, equity, inclusivity, and I highly recommend that we continue with this purchase. It is budgeted, and it's highly used at the middle school at this point.
Excellent.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And now you again, Pebble Go
Yes.
license.
Yes. So Pebble Go is a budgeted, it's just a renewal this year. It's heavily used in K-2 and helps support all the core subject areas in elementary school, and it's really enjoyable for the students too. So I just requesting just to move approval on this renewal.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
And
you.
your last one looks like it's Agile Mind for high school math.
Yes, Agile Mind. And I just wanted to quickly comment on what Mrs. Netco brought up. We know, we've heard loud and clear that Agile Mind is not a popular program at the high school level. I hear a giggle in the back. That's good. And so keeping that in mind, we are piloting 2 brand new, amazing curricular resources this year at the high school. We have teachers on board, ready to go, professional development scheduled for them, but we do have to have a green curriculum in place still for this year. And so I'm just requesting that that we, renew with Agile for this last year. We've been able to bump the quote down quite significantly based on teachers that are going to be involved in the pilot this year, and so it is less than we thought, but it is a budgeted expense. I just wanted your approval on that.
Dr. Schultz, does that explain the $12,000 deduction?
Yes.
Okay, that's what that is. Thank you. Answered my question. Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schultz. And now we're on to number 30. No, 29, excuse me.
29.
Discussion action for the contract award curriculum, Wit and Wisdom Professional Development. Dr. Cecil, you're on board now.
Yep, for the rest of this agenda. Um,
Keep it rolling.
Just
We
keep it
want to hear
rolling.
more grants.
So these are all grant funded. Every
Yeah.
last thing is grant funded. So Wit and Wisdom is this year funded both through Title II and 4A. And as Dr. Schultz mentioned before, we're using the money because we know we don't have substitutes to be able to have teachers come out during the day for professional development. We are going to bring coaches in to the buildings. And when you approve this, it will provide us, each school, with 4 days of coaching throughout the year with the new implementation of the new program. So they'll all get on-site help 4 times throughout the year with implementing the new curriculum. So requesting approval for that.
Move
approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're on to the
Number 30.
Promethean boards for Lippitt.
Yes, so with Title I, the 5 Title I schools are given a sum of money that they are, after they look at their needs through their school improvement plans, asked to spend the funds on various items, whether it's personnel or things for their school. In this case, Lippert is asking for 4 Promethean boards to to actually be able to provide Promethean boards for support staff, for the itinerant teachers, be able to have that for music, for visual arts. And so we're recommending the approval so we can use title funds to purchase those 4 Promethean boards. They're on stands so that they'll be portable.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one, curriculum, Title I, II, 4A funds.
Yes, so this is a table that's giving you an overview of how the funds will be spent for some of those funds that we might not have a contract award written up for yet. Some of them we do, but for example, Norwood is going to be doing drama therapy this year, and that comes with a cost of $12,000. We haven't actually gotten the contract ready for that yet, but we want to be able to move on these as we get the contract. So we're putting these before you tonight so that we have your approval to move forward with the spending of these funds. So in this case, Oakland Beach wants to continue conscious discipline, which has been an initiative that this will be the 3rd year of it being in that school. The Title I conference, which we have been going to virtually for 2 years. This will be the 3rd year. The Peaceful Playground initiative that Mrs. Kuzno has really gotten off the ground, and Lippert wants to be able to purchase materials, equipment, to support that initiative. The Promethean boards we just did. Hoxie is going to continue their work with empowering writers. They had coaches from Empowering Writers come and do professional development and then come back in and work with teachers last year. So they want to continue that for next year. Our Parents as Partners program, we want to renew with them. And then we just did the Wit and Wisdom. And then we have the ongoing responsive classroom training that Miss Danbrook started, 3 or 4 years ago now, that we are continuing until every elementary teacher has gotten that full training. So in this particular item, we're requesting approval. If we don't have the contract already on this agenda, we want the approval so when we do have the contract, we can move forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we move on to the non-public schools.
Yes, we are the pass-through for the non-public schools. You can see what their allotments have been for this year. It's been allocated, approved by RIDE on how to use it. I think I gave you some highlights of how they are spending their money, Empowering Writers, IXL, AP course training, et cetera, et cetera. So we're requesting approval so that we can move forward when they need us to make purchases for them using these funds.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're on to
33,
the national conference.
yes, requesting approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is family engagement training resources.
Yes, that is for, let me make sure it's the right one. Yes, that's for the parenting partners.
Move
Excellent.
approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next is National Inventors Hall of Fame STEM kits for Oakland Beach and Lippert.
Yes, both Oakland Beach and Lippert are going to continue to have extended day programs at their school. And one of the offerings that they have been doing for the last 2 years is this National Inventors Program. It's completely hands-on. These are wonderful kits. They're a little on the expensive side, but they're worth the money because the kids create wonderful creative projects using these kits. So requesting approval to purchase those for them.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're on to informing design web platform.
I believe this is, this is through the McKinney-Vento grant. When McKinney-Vento, there's been 3 different grants, federal grants that have been dedicated specifically for McKinney-Vento homeless, sort of like ESSER. It's ESSER money targeting McKinney-Vento. And so we had to complete a needs assessment, and one of our targeted areas was wraparound services and outreach. And our liaison, Deb Pederuti, did some research and found an incredible website app that that parents and families can use to identify resources for housing, for food, for health care, for jobs, for whatever it is that we put into this app. And so we met with the developer, and he's going to be creating for us, once you approve this, a Warwick Cares website app for our McKinney-Vento families. Now, if any other family chooses to use it, we'll be more than happy that all of our families use it. But it's going to be targeting McKinney-Vento families and our unaccompanied youth. And when it comes out, I'll be presenting it because I am so excited about it. I think this is going to put us on the map as being the pioneers in providing this kind of service to our McKinney-Vento families.
Move approval, and I've seen this, and this is a phenomenal program.
I'll second it, and I have a question, and I don't know if it's to you or Dr. Taylor, but so would this app also be linked to our WPS website too?
Yes.
So,
At the
okay.
top of the app, there'll be a link, and also there's a hotline that will be linked directly to our liaison's cell phone, so that they can directly connect with our liaison if they are in need.
Very cool, thank you.
Yes. And on our website, we'll have a link to the app as well, so it'll be reciprocal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to empowering writers for Hoxie.
Requesting approval?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Conscience, discipline, professional development.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Responsive classroom training.
Move approval.
Second.
Second, I do have one question, Madam Chair.
Sure, Mr. Testa?
Dr. Cecil, is this you? No, this is, yeah, okay. I know you mentioned we want to get every teacher trained in this, so how far away are we? Or, oh, Ms. Kuzno, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the school committee. So currently, we had approximately 160 prior to this school year. We're training another, thanks to Dr. Cecil and all her grant funding, we have another 60 teachers, and all elementary principals will be trained as of next Friday. So that pushes us over, over 200, 225. And then we'll continue to train. This year was really about getting all the elementary principals trained, and we asked that either the psychologist or social worker would be on the team as well. And then the elementary schools are going to be having a responsive classroom sort of culture and climate committee back at their school base, so they'll be able to look at data and then move decisions for each building forward.
So when everybody's trained, is there refresher training that takes place too, or?
We bring it up at principals' meetings often, and we have different workshops and things like that for the principals.
Thank you.
We also purchased the responsive classroom books when Ms. Danbrook was in the director position, and I don't know how many copies are left, but every school received that copies.
Yes, we also have a library. We have a collection of them in the office closet. So we can pass them on to the new teachers that are taking the course coming up.
That's good.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to Bright Morning Coaching.
Yes, this is a website for our instructional coach. We now actually have 2 instructional coaches for Title I schools, and this is a website with resources for them.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the last one is McKinney-Vento Student Supplies.
Requesting approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cecil. Don't know
Love
what we'd do
spending
without
that
you.
money.
You're a rock star. Now we'll move on to our second public comment on any item that you would like to discuss. Please remember to keep it to 2 minutes, and we'll do this for 30 minutes if necessary.
Good evening, Caitlin Regan, special educator at Warwick Neck. I recently shared with you at last month's school committee meeting that the elementary IES intensive emotional support programs were recently consolidated into all one building at Warwick Neck. The intended purpose of this was to greatly strengthen our program by allowing stronger alignment and more resources. However, with the program caseload doubling for this year, it has resulted in a decrease of available resources. Not only will our behavior specialists have doubled their caseload without any additional support, but both psychologists and social worker who are only staffed at Warwick Neck part-time will have significantly increased job duties. Due to mental health needs and safety concerns, these students have higher incidences requiring intervention from a mental health provider. When these incidents inevitably occur, this will result in the part-time social worker or psychologist assigned to Warwick Neck being pulled from their daily duties, potentially from another school just to assist. Again, I remind you that not staffing Warwick Neck with a full-time social worker would be putting student and staff physical and mental health at risk for this coming school year. Thank you.
Good evening. Kristen Gonteric, special educator. I am moving from Wyman to Warwick Neck, and I will be one of the intense emotional support teachers. I greatly second everything that Caitlin Regan just said. This is my 3rd school year with the program. I am moving over from Wyman with the same amount of students, the same amount of incidences, the same amount of behavior and data, and we now have less staff. So we have doubled our program, and although we consolidated, we lost a special education teacher, we lost a float TA, teacher assistant, in addition to all the other resources that we've lost, and I really would like to advocate strongly for at least the full-time social worker as discussed previously, but also maybe the float TA as well. Thank you.
Well, I'm short. Good evening. Ashley Gargano, school social worker. I was at Warwick Neck and Park Elementary, so these are some of my former colleagues, but I am moving up to Winman IES and SES program under the ESSER funds for 1 year. So I heard everyone talk about today the safety funds that were you all discussed wanting to get approved, and I appreciate Karen bringing up all the other needs we have in our district right now, such as the social work, and so I heard others talk about the threat assessments, and we even talked about the suicide prevention policy today, and throughout all of that was talked about student safety. And I think it's important, yes, to have a person monitoring student safety, but it's also really important to remember student social emotional well-being, particularly I think in regards to me advocating for more social workers and psychologists within our district. It's really hard to keep up with all of those policies that were approved, as well as the safety in our buildings, without having more of us. In addition, we also approved to cut 5 TAs today. while you then approved this administrative position that I know is hopefully going to be covered by a grant. But, you know, safety also comes with the number of people who are in our buildings, right? If we don't have staff in our buildings helping our students, that's unsafe as well. So when we want to talk about safety, we need staff, and we need staff who are trained, and we need people who are aware of social, emotional, and mental health. That's really important. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Frank Galligan, and I am the principal of Warwick Neck Elementary School. I'm here tonight requesting that you seriously consider the safety, equity, and educational needs for incorporating a full-time social worker at Warwick Neck Elementary School this academic year. Throughout this summer, Warwick Public Schools made the much-needed consolidation of our district's intensive emotional support, or IES, programs on the elementary level into one building at Warwick Neck. As IES professionals have relayed to you tonight and during the July committee meeting, this will allow for not only a stronger alignment between our classrooms and programs, but more consistency with social emotional learning. I can confidently say that it is a welcomed change at our school, but the increased number of students to approximately 20 children across 3 classrooms doubles our previous caseload at Warwick Neck. The professional involvement required by our IES programs, including but not limited to servicing mental health needs, communicating with outside providers, and managing crisis situations, is further strained by the increased number of IES students now entering our building. This does not include the common needs or concerns addressed in the general education population at our school or other elementary schools. When it comes to equity, the Social Emotional Support, or SES, elementary program for the district is housed at Lippett School with the backing of a full-time social worker. Moreover, across our district, every secondary building has 2 social workers, one that is primarily focused upon IES and one targeted for SES. That said, the IES population of 20 students at Warwick Neck for this year will be comparable to the Windman Middle School and Veterans Middle School IES and SES caseloads. Overall, the data on file continuously demonstrates a critical need and not an ideal want for a full-time social worker to support the physical and mental health of our students and staff at Warwick Neck School. I humbly ask you as the principal to seriously consider this being added to the budget, keeping not only educational concerns, but safety and equity at the forefront of your decision. Thank you.
Hello, Julie Connors Costello, teacher at Windman, lifelong resident of Warwick. Just a quick note about the calendar. I noticed that there were only 2 blue squares for the PD days. Okay, I just wanted to be sure because I know that that document was out in public and people, I'm sure, will start squawking, so I just wanted to be sure. All right, thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi. I want to thank the professionals from Warwick Neck for showing up tonight to talk about the need for the social worker, because I've heard a lot about this from everybody there, and I think the principal coming to you in this forum to speak to you should tell you something about the critical need for a full-time social worker. And while a safety obviously is important, and a director for the district to, you know, coordinate everything is important. If you can get a grant for that, you can get a grant for the social worker, or if you can use ESSER funds for that, then you can use ESSER funds for a full-time social worker. You can call it a pilot or something for the year at Warwick Neck and use those ESSER funds and get a full-time social worker in there. These people are telling you, you are setting the school up and the students up, you know, for great difficulty. I don't want to say failure because I know no one over there is going to let a student fail, but you are making their job needlessly difficult, and the students will be at risk. So I think, you know, for the next agenda, perhaps it's time to approve a full-time social worker for Warwick Neck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next is our future meetings. We've decided the monthly school meeting in September is going to be on the 9th. Oh, the 19th. Excuse me. Thank you. And before we adjourn, I just want to wish Dr. Taylor a very, very happy birthday. Can we all sing happy birthday to him? Yeah. Come on,
Oh, thank
ready?
you.
Happy birthday to you. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn, people.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.